What's up, guys? How's it going? Little Tuesday night hangout. The first official, hopefully, of many playoff Tuesday night hangout.
Playoff?
Yeah, the playoffs here. Come on. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Drop a like for us. We appreciate that. Going to touch on all the Eagles news, rumors, things that the Niners are doing or not doing, players that they may or may not have. Same thing for the Eagles. Some interesting news and all the other stuff. So appreciate you guys giving away some tickets as well. I did that or announced it in the game recap video, which I will share in a future upcoming video. But for the OGs hanging around on the live stream, you got a chance to win some tickets, 2 tickets to the wild card round. I got lots of those. We had too many to give away. So it'll be just for the people on the live. Good luck to you. Also, while we're talking giveaways, but for everybody else, if you haven't already, I mentioned this multiple times, but scan the QR code, get signed up with Underdog, best option in fantasy sports. Use code Philly Special or click the link in the description. Underdog $5 play gets you $75 in bonus bets. You can play them in Philly. You can do the draft leagues. Pick them not available, but draft leagues are. Anthony won, I think, $50 last week. If you do the best ball playoff option, you can win potentially. I mean, there's some options there. You get signed up, a $5 entry, you win $200,000. You could be lucky enough. We're just saying that. You got to be fairly lucky there. But the reason that it's the most important, at least for the channel here, is if you get signed up, we're trying to get to the goal of 650. If that happens before the conference championship games, I'm giving away 2 Super Bowl tickets. We're actually going to make that happen. So we're about, I think, 550 away now or so. We were started out with 650. So in a matter of a week and a half or so, we got about 100 signups. So math-wise, it'd be close, but we're getting into playoff factor too. So get signed up with Underdog. Shout out to them for all the giveaway support, everything else as well. And lots to get into. Anthony, I don't know where we want to start necessarily. We do have a super chat that I'll get to as well, but do we dare go with initial takeaways of rest, not to rest? Should they have done that?
I mean, sure, we can start there because unlike some people on social media or people that cover the team or talk about the team on the radio, I'm not going to change my stance because of what happened in that Lions-Bears game.
Mm-hmm.
I said beforehand that I thought resting the starters was the right call. Granted, I wrote about it, and I didn't agree with the fact that Devontae Smith played in the game. I know he said that he wanted to or whatever, and they did have to play some of the defensive guys simply because you only have a certain amount of players active on game day, the way that they rotate their players. Some starters had to play. I know Devontae Smith hit the milestone of 1,000 yards, and I don't know if that triggered a bonus or that was just him wanting to hit that 1,000 yards, but to me, it wasn't worth the risk, but they decided to do that anyway. But regardless, I thought it was the right idea to rest the starters. They could have still won that game if they just decided to give the ball to Tank Bigsby a couple more times or not make some questionable decisions here and there as far as game management and play calling go, which has been a trend all season long. So I'm not going to pretend like it's a new issue in Philadelphia. But I know it sucks because the Lions did actually beat the Bears to see the Eagles lose also. But at the same time, like Nick Sirianni said, there was only one thing that he can control going into that weekend, and it was that guaranteeing the Eagles players rest, right? There was no guaranteeing that, because if they would have played the starters and they would have won, and then the Bears win by 3 instead of the Lions winning by 3, then everybody's ripping Nick Sirianni, right? And saying, why would you risk your starters? God forbid somebody got hurt. 3 Eagles did leave the game due to injury, so it's not like nobody got hurt and they made it through that game unscathed. So think if that was Dallas Goedert getting hurt instead of Grant Calcaterra, or Cooper DeJean getting hurt instead of Brandon Johnson. All these different things that you can kind of throw. I know it's all hypothetical, but throwing that stuff in there, throwing the starters out there just would have been a reckless decision in my opinion. I know people talk about the advantage of it's a 2 seed versus a 3 seed. We've talked endlessly about how we think the Packers can very well beat the Bears in that first round, which would eliminate that home field as long as the Eagles take care of business. They would also still host a second playoff game. So yeah, I know it was a big topic after Sunday's game, and people were ripping Nick Sirianni and going back against their word or saying, they were right all along, blah, blah, blah. But I still think rest your guys was the right call. Now, if the offense underachieves in the postseason, you really can't rest. You can't blame it on the rest factor, right? It's not like they were just out there banged up. I think it was James Palmer had shared a tweet or information saying that there were 4 quarterbacks that rested in Week 18 last season that played in the playoffs. All 4 of them won. So hopefully that streak continues and we see the Eagles taking advantage and winning. So There's an argument to be made on both sides. I think the safer option was to rest the starters, which is what they ultimately did. But obviously, we'll see how that plays out against the 49ers in the wild card round.
Yes, we will. And it's and the reason I bring it up because people are like, why are we talking about the rest thing? Obviously, for some it doesn't matter, but some people continue to bring it up over social media. It's like, oh, I told you we could have gotten the 2 seed, the guarantee for 2 home games. As you mentioned, though, the aspect for the Bears, if they lose the Packers, then you're getting 2 anyway. Even if it doesn't happen, you go to Chicago, assuming they beat the 49ers. I mean, like, and if you say the argument, well, yeah, but we would have played the Packers instead of the 49ers. At the end of the day, if the Eagles can't beat the Niners, as rested as they are and as banged up as the Niners are, then it doesn't matter. It was who cares? Like, okay, fine, maybe you would have beat the Packers, not the Niners. But if that happens, then are we really talking about anything meaningful? Because it was doomed to it was doomed from the start. Like, you were going to fail if they can't get it done this week. Now, we will say that the line opened up at 3 points, Eagles being 3-point favorites. It's already bumped up to 4.5-point favorites. You like to see that, just from all intents and purposes for Vegas and the lines, the reverse line movement, actually, based on percentages and public, I guess, public viewpoints there. But, there's so many opportunities in this game. There's so many ways that you can break this thing down. Obviously, we'll have the full game preview on the Saturday video that will drop. And then we may, I think we're 75% there. I don't know if we're official, but we may be streaming for the Packers and Bears game, depending on how that works out. But stay tuned. We'll let you know officially. Because it was fun last week to do it, which was the Seahawks and Niners one. But that wasn't a playoff game. It wasn't playoff implications. This one would be, because then it dictates basically like, okay, are the Eagles going to host another game if they beat the Niners, or would they go on the road, like you say, and play Chicago? Either way, shout out to you guys that we get to these super chats. Matt, you're the man. Matt dropping the 20 bomb of Philly Special Show memberships. Really appreciate that. That's big time, as always. But Matt, shout out to you. Also, Bag O. I'm not going to announce the full name of that, but that's a very creative name. Welcome to the membership there. Let's run it tier. Appreciate the support. Not going to say completely, but and then Kilo King with a 10 bomb. Anyone else worry losing some Philly dogs in free agency hurts chemistry? They've been brothers since teens. You never know what Ringo, Dean, Davis mean to the others, or who's the glue. Something to think about. Some of them, if Ringo moves on, I don't know of a whole lot of people that are going to be super upset about Ringo moving on, especially you watch the game film there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was I forget who made the I think it was EJ Smith in the PHLY Eagles show. He talked about how like he almost felt bad for seeing, like, he saw Keely Ringo after the Week 18 game and he just sitting there like scrolling on his phone, and that's pretty much like the last thing you want to see a player do. And I mean, he jokingly reacted to some of the memes out there about him and stuff, so it seems like he's taking it in stride. But at the same time, EJ Smith talked about how if you just think of like all the Georgia guys, right? Like outside of maybe Smile Munden, but like Nakobe Dean, phenomenal like breakout season when he was healthy. Jordan Davis, phenomenal season. Obviously, Jalen Carter's been great. Nolan Smith has looked good. Like all these other Georgia guys have looked really good. And unfortunately, Keely Ringo's kind of fallen. He was supposed to be battling for a starting job in training camp. Had a couple games where he played like meaningful snaps. Didn't look great. Now he's just completely fallen down the depth chart. He had an embarrassing performance in Week 18. So, yeah, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, I think Keely Ringo still has a year left on his rookie contract. I don't think he's going to be a free agent. Jordan Davis is under contract because they picked up his 5th-year option. So Nakobe Dean's really the only one that's at risk of leaving. And I think that is kind of an interesting dynamic, right? Because you drafted Jahad Campbell in the first round because you want him essentially to be the starter next to Zach Bond, right? Because you paid Zach Bond. He's locked in already. Now you drafted Jahad Campbell in the first round. They didn't know how Nakobe Dean was going to look coming off such like a catastrophic injury. Granted, now we see that he looked really good when he was healthy, right? But then once again, suffered another injury. So it's like, I know he's big for the vibes and stuff like that off the field, the connection to the Georgia guys. But do you feel confident like committing money to him? Because I don't think he's going to get like a top of the market deal at linebacker just because of his injury history.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But like also, would he want to come back if he's not guaranteed to be a starter? And then like, what does that do with Jahad Campbell? I still think they should just let him go. I know some people will be upset to see him walk, but they have so many other people that they have to pay. They have to extend Jalen Carter. Jalen Phillips and Reed Blankenship, in my opinion, should be like their priorities going into free agency. Jordan Davis looks deserving of a big extension now, obviously, even though they have the fifth-year option to play with him. So it's kind of like a get in line situation and see if they can figure it out. But based on who they have becoming available in free agency, I can't see Nakobe Dean returning. And it is interesting to wonder what kind of impact that would have on on like the locker room and the other Georgia players there.
Yeah, it's totally a fair question because just from a skill set standpoint, I'm totally with you. Of like, like you say, you drafted Jahad Campbell for the reason that he's your first round pick. We've seen him out there on the field, productivity wise. He's close. Like, you can tell he needs just a little bit more experience, but as he gets that, he's going to be able to react to the run game a little better. I think he's better in pass coverage than Nakobe Dean is, but the blitzing prowess, he's good. He's maybe not quite as good as Nakobe Dean, so same thing there, but as he gets those reps, you can tell he's got all the tools. And being with Fangio, that's just a whole different story on that side of like, okay, it's the wealth of or the luxury to have just all the wealth of linebackers because it's like one after the other. I mean, heck, you look at Jeremiah Trotter Jr. play this last week as well. Dude's flying around. You kind of forget about Trot, but you're like, oh yeah, that's the fourth string linebacker back there, but he can still make plays like crazy. And so it's a fantastic position to be in. But it's also a really good point. Even if statistically, skill-wise, whatever, you don't miss a beat, morale is an interesting factor that comes into play there. And Nakobe Dean has had kind of that, I don't know, for lack of a better term, and apologies for the pun, but the dog mentality that he brings to the defense, right? Like you just have that extra umph there whenever he's in the lineup. So I don't know, but where there's a will, there's a way, I guess, with Howie Roseman. But there's so many guys that he's got to take care of. So it is going to be interesting. The offseason, free agency, who does he pay? Who does he choose to let walk? Everything to play there. I'm sure that it's going to be controversial as every offseason is. But the hope is that we're not talking about any of that until February, until middle of February at the earliest. I know that you love to get your mock drafts in early, but we can just delay that. It doesn't need to take place until February because we're trying to make a run. And the way that happens starts first and foremost with this defense, with Vic Fangio. We have faith in that side of the ball. Offensively, it's every single week. I mean, you said it kind of opening up here as far as just the offense against the Commanders. I know it was a lot of backups, but you still saw play calling that doesn't really make sense. You go away from something that is working basically all game. You don't give Tank Bigsby the touches at all in the fourth quarter, like you mentioned. So I don't know. I think that there's a good chance they should be able to capitalize against the 49ers. But, and again, we'll do the full preview and breakdown everything there. But as far as just, initial thoughts as we've come a couple days since then, I know that whenever we were previewing potential matchups, you're like, oh, hey, the Niners might be more of a dangerous opponent for the Eagles than maybe the Rams, perhaps, and everything there. Has that changed? Is it the same thing? Are you still feeling that way? Where are you at?
Well, after we did the live stream of that game, right? I came away and I said that I wasn't necessarily feeling the same. Where they kind of made me look silly because I was praising the Niners for how good their offense looked, and they played against an elite defense in the Seahawks that's similar, if not better, than the Eagles defense, right? Depending on who you ask, obviously, we'll be a little biased in that conversation, but a similar kind of matchup stylistically, where it's just like a swarming defense that seemed like they were able to. They didn't like overplay all the motions and stuff. They kind of just stick to what they did, and they were able to dominate the Niners there, but. I still think this might sound crazy, but like to me, I feel like if the Eagles can win this game against the Niners, that there's nobody else in the NFC that's stopping them. And maybe it's crazy, but
hey, now.
I just think the fact that like this offense, to me, I know the Rams put up a ton of numbers too, but we've seen the Eagles handle that offense 3 times now in the last 2 seasons, right? We haven't seen Vic Fangio up against the Kyle Shanahan offense in a long time. And Vic Fangio, I think it was 2018 or 2019, Vic Fangio said it's been like a decade. So he got his timeline a little mixed up there. Maybe it's the older age for Vic Fangio. But it was funny to see him kind of go through that. And he's talked about how they have a good relationship. He almost worked with him several different times. He talked about earlier today during his press conference. But to me, that's what makes this matchup so interesting, is that there isn't that familiarity that the Eagles would have had against the Packers or that they would have had against the Rams. Like, it's almost like some unknown. And I know that the 49ers defense looks terrible, but we've seen this Eagles offense go up against some really bad defenses. And we were like going into the Bears game, we were like, oh, they have their 4th and their 6th linebacker. just run the ball down their throat. And then they just didn't.
Yeah.
It does not seem like this off. And I know things changed a little bit once Nick Sirianni got more involved and whatnot, but like even the Week 18 game, like just give the ball to Tank Bigsby. His last carry came with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. It was a 13-yard run, and then he never touched the ball again. It just doesn't make any sense the way that this offensive staff operates, and I can't really feel comfortable in thinking that they're going to like outscore the Niners if they are able to take advantage of Vic Fangio's defense, because I know it's looked phenomenal, especially since the trade deadline, since they got Jalen Phillips, but there have been times like the Giants game and obviously the Bears game where they did, like they looked like they couldn't stop anybody, right? Like late that second half of the Broncos game as well. So it's like, can you just rely on the defense to hold teams to 13 points? Like they might give up 20. Can the Eagles actually score more than 20? I think they're going to win. I'll get that out there now. I'm not going to put any
Should be able to
score prediction or anything like that. I would bet on the Eagles winning if I was going to bet. But I still think this could be the toughest matchup for them in this entire NFC playoffs.
I think that we're kind of in agreement there, because I was mentioning this, or we've texted offline as well. But I do feel like, similarly as you said, if they can win this first one, I think that they'll go to the NFC title game. They'll make it there, and they very well could be hosting the NFC title game. But if like I'm in between. There's no in between. It literally, to me, for some reason, I don't exactly know why, but maybe for a lot of the reasons that you just said there, but it feels like it's either an Eagles one and done, or it's Eagles reach the title game, right? Or even all the way to the Super Bowl. And that part to me is maybe where it's just more of the anxiety. Now maybe it's the, feeling, okay, playoffs are around the corner. Obviously the stakes are higher. Trust the Eagles in terms of the playmakers. But it's interesting because you do have, and I've seen this all over the place. And again, I'll get to the other super chat here in just a second, but I've seen this all over social media, different outlets, different podcasts. And it's basically, you got good on good and bad on bad. You got Vic Fangio and Kyle Shanahan, right? And you got two sides of the ball that are good for each team. But then you have bad on bad because it's the Eagles offense against the 49ers defense. And for those reasons that you just brought up as well. The question that I have, or the thought that I have, thinking about the matchups here, though, is it's Kevin Patullo against Robert Saleh. And I don't feel great about KP winning that matchup there. Now, if we look at just players making plays, the Eagles playmakers should be able, they should be able to manhandle the 49ers defense. But I know that the vast majority, if I put a poll up here, I would imagine it's 90% that are saying, maybe even more, maybe 97%. What's going to stop the Eagles if there's anything? It'd be Kevin Patullo. It'll be play calling, Kevin Patullo getting in the way, the offense just, falling flat. But I'm hopeful. If they get the ball to the right players, they don't go away from things that are working. They capitalize and take advantage. Like we're saying, they're on their fourth, fifth string linebackers. They've been really suspect against the pass. I know that you could see the missed tackles, obviously, against Seattle as well. I think they had 18 missed tackles in that game. They can be had, and especially if you have guys that are coming off of rest. The 49ers are also potentially going to be without Ricky Pearsall. So they're just a banged-up team. They have so many guys that are missing, and kudos to them for making it this far, winning 12 games, having a chance to take the 1 seed despite everything that's happened to them. But you look at it and say they don't get a pass rush. They had the least amount of sacks in the league by far. That just doesn't feel sustainable. But it's one game. And, it's the Niners. It's a little bit of unfamiliarity. So I'm hopeful. We'll see, obviously, where it shakes out. But it's 4.5-point favorites now. You think back to last year in the playoffs, the Packers were officially, well, depending on which sports book, but they were 4.5 to 5.5-point underdogs against the Eagles when we played them in the link. So, we'd all take a 22-10. I do feel like it takes somewhere around 24 points to get the job done from the Eagles offense. That should be a foregone conclusion against, that of a defense the Niners are. But we've seen so many times, like you said, even the Bears game. That's a great point. Jim with a 5, appreciate that. Rich Eisen interviewed Bill Cowher today. He backed Sirianni's decision to rest the starters 100%. He said the only thing that counts is team health. I like that. The players said the same thing, right? You hear the press conferences afterward, several beat writers, Zach Berman, echoing the same thing. He was saying that he kind of felt like maybe you do play for the 2 seed, but when he talked to them afterwards and seeing the morale of the team, it was like, I'll be honest, they held firm to, they basically don't care too much about who they play. as opposed to like, are we healthy? And they felt like that was the right decision. So if the players themselves are saying that, then that says something. At least we'll take the positives there.
Yeah, I think that's what's funny in all of this, right? Because it kind of reminds me of the arguments that you see on Twitter sometimes, where it'll be like Kurt Warner arguing with Broncos fan 229 about like quarterback play, right? It's just like
Yeah,
maybe we should just listen to the people that know what like how the day to day everything operates in the NFL, and like in this regard, if Jordan Mailata and Brandon Graham and whoever else is telling you how important the rest is, because Jordan Mailata talked about like not only the physical rest, but he talked about like the mental side. It's like one less game plan that you have to focus on. Where like he said, it's literally like another bye week, because I'm sure they were still in team meetings and position room meetings, things like that. But you're not necessarily like, this is my matchup, I got to watch film on this guy, I got to do it. They can kind of just like take a step back. And we saw the way Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson are looking. I don't think 1 week of rest is going to magically make them look like they were in like
yeah, yeah.
at their best, but I don't see how it would hurt them, right? So I think I'll take the Eagles players saying that they needed the rest, they're going to benefit from it, over, no offense to anybody in the chat, but Eagles fan 2929. Like it's just, you have certain people that like they talk with their chest out. They know what's right. Like, no, Nick Sirianni's an idiot. Like, why would he ever do this? And it's just like, yeah, but the players are right there telling us the exact opposite. So I'll go with the guys in the locker room over there, because it's not just one guy saying it. And a lot of these guys are usually very honest to the media, and they're pretty much saying like, nope, that's huge for us. Like, we needed that. And I also think it's a good thing, because it almost, I know Kevin Patullo probably facing the most pressure out of anybody, right, heading into the playoffs. But this rest and the players publicly vouching for the importance of it almost puts more pressure on the players to perform too, right? Because if they're like, we need this, it's going to help us so much, the offense can't come out and score 13 points, right? Like that's not going to cut it. If you're
No,
going to
not
take
at
this
all.
break and you're going to say how much it's going to benefit, like how much you're going to benefit from it and all this stuff, now it's like, okay, now you need to hold up your end of the bargain too, right? So I'm really interested to see how this entire team looks coming out of this kind of like pseudo bye week.
Yeah, and I think about even the Bears game, seeing some comments there about the similarities, at least the part that you brought up of like, okay, playing against fourth string, fifth string linebackers there, not capitalizing the game the way that looked. It was atrocious. We all remember the Black Friday game, but it was also coming off a short rest, and the guys were tired. You could tell that from the first snap. Let alone get them doubled up on time of possession. The defense doubled up on time of possession, have them out there playing 80 snaps or whatever it was. Like, yeah, you're getting run on for 280 yards because you got Jalen Carter out there who's playing with one arm, if that, half an arm. You got a defense who's played the most snaps at that time, the most snaps over a 3-game period in the entire league. And they had a run defense that had been getting gashed because you have no rotation, just guys that are tired. So this is totally different. And we've seen them off of rest. The defense is a totally different story. I mean, I'll be honest, like obviously there's a difference of going to a game in person than watching on television. So we'll kind of put a disclaimer out there, clarify it with that. But at the same time too, going to Lambeau and watching them play against the Packers there, I know they just got Jalen Phillips. So yeah, there's some extra motivation. There's some extra morale and everything there. But I'm telling you, that game was probably the most intense and the most energetic and flying around that I've seen the defense play all season, which, I don't think it's by any mistake or any just coincidence that was right after the bye week. You give the guys an extra week of rest, have them get healthy, get rested, and they come out like gangbusters there to play against the Packers. Now the offense, again, that's the fear, that's the concern, right? Because they did not. Now, we give Jeff Hafley credit; he's done really well. We both are very high on him in terms of potential candidate for head coaching gigs. Maybe he moves on, gets something else. But it's like the double-edged sword. The rest helps the defense. I hope the rest helps the offense. It can't be much worse. But there is a part of me that's going like, yeah, but is it going to be? Like, is it the rust factor? Do they come out and you're like, oh my gosh, they're just like asleep and it's taken a while for the offense to get going? I hope not. They've had experience in the past going into the playoffs where they did get rest and they came out and they played really well. But I don't know. At this point, I've talked about like both sides or tried to like rationalize and go, yeah, I could see the offense doing this. And then I'm like, but I could also see the offense just coming out and not having any answers.
Yeah, but this is like, I said Kevin Patullo faces the most pressure going into the playoffs, right? And I think second, and I'm not saying like pressure as far as like in this regard, as far as losing his job, but I think Jalen Hurts would be next, right? Because he didn't have the the greatest season of all, right? Like literally the last time we saw him play, they didn't complete a pass for the entire second half, right? So it's like the reason we believe so much in Jalen Hurts and we as Eagles fans praise him so much is because when everything is on the line and the lights are the brightest, that's when he steps up and plays his best, right? Like we've seen what he's done in both Super Bowls that he appeared in, NFC Championship games, things like that. So for me, you got that week off. Now all the pressure's back on the players, back on Kevin Patullo. And this is when we expect Jalen Hurts to kind of put that cape on. We've talked all season long about, are they waiting for the playoffs to have him like be more of a runner? Now, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think it's going to come out and he's going to run 10 plus times. I think it's more matchup based. They'll see how San Francisco's playing them and then go from there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like you almost need, no matter how Kevin Patullo calls the game, you need Jalen Hurts to almost like put the entire team and the coaching staff just on his back as far as the offense goes. And will he be able to do it? Maybe. We've seen him do it before, but it's just like you take this 18-week sample size as a whole, and it's hard to have confidence heading into the playoffs in this offense. But like we've talked about, the defense has been so good, but can they do it against such one of the best offensive play callers in the NFL? So it's just, there's so many different dynamics at play for this first matchup, which is why I said I was a little bit scared of the 49ers. Like I said, I still think they can win and will win, but I think it's going to be a really, really fun game to kind of watch and see how it all unfolds.
Sounds like a fun game and a stressful game, but
Yes.
What else is different or what else is new from this? The way this season is gone and the games, heck, even a Week 18 game, which would be like rest all the starters. Even that one had to come down to the wire. It's like either don't have a shot at all or blow them out. And no, we have to wait till the very last drive to go. Oh, is it going to happen here? Yeah,
both games came down to the wire.
Come down to it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just convinced. Like as long as they can get out of the way, let the players make plays. Just don't sabotage it with the play calling. I'm hoping the offensive line is better. The same thing like you said there. I don't think that it's a complete change where it's, oh my gosh, 1 week of rest. They're back to a top 5 offensive line. I don't think that's anywhere close to going to happen. But even if it's like, hey, they're average. They're the middle of the pack. Look like a middle of the pack offensive line. We will take that from what we've seen, especially in the run game. So capitalize against the Niners. Trent with a 2. Appreciate that, man. And Vic, we trust. F the 49ers. Patullo sucks. You got all of it covered there, pretty much.
That's pretty much the only person we can trust on that coaching staff right now heading into the playoffs. So a lot on Vic Fangio's plate heading into that game.
It is. Yep. I do like hearing the defense. We'd known this, that they're kind of already in this boat, but a lot of them, not, I don't know exactly the exact number, but there are a lot of them that were here back for the game that we lost, whatever it was, like 41 to 19, 42 to 19, just the thrashing that we took at the link, the Big Dom, incident there and everything on that side. So maybe if nothing else, you got a lot of guys who are hopeful to return the favor in a way and don't take this team lightly. Now, again, we had a terrible defense. Everybody understands defensive coordinator's not the same even in the stratosphere of Vic Fangio. And we missed I don't know how many tackles it was there, like 20 tackles, 25. It was like every time San Francisco throws the football and, oh, there you go. There's 3, 4, 5 missed tackles, touchdown. So it's going to be different. I just hope maybe a little extra motivation on that side for the Philly Dogs and some of the others, that were present for that game.
Yeah, but that's like, I feel like we've talked about it earlier in the season and even going back to that first Washington game, right? Where it just seemed like the attitude of this team as a whole, offensively and defensively, despite the offensive struggles, they just seem like they're tougher, right? They're not that same team in 2023 that let people walk through, like let the 49ers literally walk through their warmups and like talk crap to their face, right? Like you saw Tyler Steen, granted he was kind of by himself, but taking on the whole Commanders defense by himself, right? So I don't think this is the team that's just going to get like out-toughed, and I don't think the Niners are that team this year because of all the injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But just overall, I feel confident like mentally in this team going into the playoffs, which is a big deal because now they're basically at full health, like physically, right? Outside of Lane Johnson, there's been some like skeptical reports around that. We can get into that too if you want to, but like it just seems like even like Drew Makuba, right, is basically they'll have 21 of 22 starters that started the season with. Drew Makuba is the only one that won't be playing, assuming that Lane Johnson plays. It looks like Nakobe Dean's gonna be back. Wasn't technically a day one starter, but we know he's the favored guy over Jahad Campbell right now by Vic Fangio. So you look at Marcus Epps, the way he's been playing, I don't think it's crazy to say that he's actually at the same level or better than Makuba was playing before he got hurt, right? Like, I don't
Yeah,
think
no, I think so.
in the long term, obviously Makuba is a better player that you would want to start, but right now, I don't think there's like a significant drop off, right? So you could almost say they're going to have 22 of 22 day one starters going into the playoffs, which no other team in the playoffs can say, I'm pretty sure. So that's why I said the rest was so important. But now you have the physical health on top of, I think the team is mentally in the right place after that week off, because Jordan Mailata talked about how important that week of rest is for them mentally. So I'll be interested to see in the Hard Knocks episode if I think it's the finale premiering tonight right now, actually, as we're people can watch that after they finish watching the live stream, of course. But
There you go. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if they say anything or cover anything as far as what the Eagles veterans are saying about the rest or how they went about it and things like that. So it's going to be interesting because, like you said, it's hard to have confidence in this offense. But with the week of rest, we've seen how they have responded to rest before. It's kind of been mixed results. But Jalen Hurts talked about it in a press conference several weeks ago where he was like, September, October, like those games, November, December. He's like, but January, February, like that's like you could tell, like he was almost like he wanted to just fast forward.
He's
like
he's
when
ready for it.
you're watching a show on Netflix and you're like skip intro and you're like skip it, just get like he wants you to skip to when it really matters. And it feels like maybe a lot of the team wanted to get to this point, but now it's up to those players after this week of rest to kind of put their on the table and show them show everybody what they're made of.
Come on now. That's exactly what we're wanting. It goes back to, I think we've said this since like the bye week, maybe. We're kind of like, look, you're the defending Super Bowl champs. You're getting everyone's best shot. I mean, you listen to half of the press conferences from opposing teams that played the Eagles all season long. And what was the statement that was made from basically everyone? Now, some of them like very publicly almost called out the Eagles. Some of them not to that extent, but they still didn't hide it enough. It was basically like, well, yeah, it's Super Bowl champs. It's a really good chance to see how we stack up, right? So everyone was using the Eagles, and this is what you do for every team. It's not just the Eagles, but the defending champs. You play them like, okay, we're gonna see where we stack up because that's the litmus test. Now you go through the season, and you might start saying, oh, well, they're top of the conference, or they're the top of the division, or whatever. We had to play better on that side, but you still always remember until you play the next Super Bowl who won it last year, and if that other team is still in contention, you're getting everybody's best shot. So I'm also hopeful and thinking, a lot of times the most dangerous team to eliminate in the postseason is the one that won it previously because they have that extra fortitude, mental toughness, whatever you want to call it. And so if now the pressure starts getting cranked up a little bit and you got guys who maybe collapse under pressure, they don't really handle it as well versus a team who's been there, done that, or been there, won that, and be able to kind of hang on from that respect. Yeah, I'm hopeful. But it's still just, I will probably say this, even if the Eagles keep on winning, they go all the way to the Super Bowl. We'll probably say this every single week. KP, just don't sabotage it. Play calling, don't sabotage it because I trust the defense like everybody does. It's just what's going to happen there with KP. Poncho with a 5. Appreciate that. I agree with Anthony about beating San Francisco and then not being worried about the rest of the NFC. But KP, see, here we go. This is every time. KP is our real liability in any game at this point.
Yeah, he's like when you see those commercials for like any kind of like medication or whatever, right? They have like the disclaimer at the end where they just say it really, really fast. And they're like, also, it's like, this is the Kevin Patullo disclaimer for anything you say like positively about the Eagles, right? They'll be like, I believe in Jalen Hurts. I believe in Vic Fangio. I believe in this. But Kevin Patullo, it's like, you got to just always add that in because it's just,
have to.
And I tweeted about it. I mean, we obviously have a playoff game, hopefully playoff games to look forward to. But right now, the way it's shaping up with all the firings and people being let go around the NFL, there's going to be quite a few very interesting potential kind of OC candidates, right? So it's going to come down to whenever the Eagles lose, hopefully they just win it all and we don't have to even worry about anything. But it is something that you do have to potentially look forward to, right? Because it seems like if anything is going to derail this team, the 2025, 2026 Philadelphia Eagles from succeeding, it's Kevin Patullo, right? And we've mentioned it all season long. I know early in the season I was kind of trying to back him and saying, no, but this, but that. There's no disputing it now because even in week 18, when there were no starters out there, so you couldn't blame like turnovers or anything like that. There was just like indisputable evidence right in our face. That's like, how do you not give Tank Bigsby a touch in the fourth quarter?
Yeah,
like
just one.
In a one-score game. It doesn't make any sense at all, and it's just over and over again. It's happening. maybe the return of Lane Johnson is like the magic cure, and they've been saving all this stuff for the playoffs. Maybe that'll happen, and we'll all look like morons. But
We
right
can
now,
hope.
it's really hard to say it over and over again to have confidence in this offense going into the
Gosh,
playoffs.
I hope so. They've just been trolling everybody,
It's a
just
surprise.
sleepwalking the entire season. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you kidding me? And then, whoa, what did you see? Like the game plan that happened against the Chargers. What are these cross routes? We're not running hitches anymore. Are you serious? Under center play action. Saquon Barkley breaking free for some big gains, run blocking in there. It's like a combo of all the best games. You just piece it together. I hope so. That'd be great. I don't the positive or optimistic viewpoint, and maybe this is like too much to the extreme for the optimism, but I think there is something a little bit of validity to the fact that like if you look at the path that the Eagles could potentially play or take, they got the 49ers. If they beat the Niners, then again it could either be the Rams or the Bears, depending on who wins there and the outcome on that side. But let's just say that you had to go to Chicago, right? So for people that are like, oh, but you lost a potential home game. Fine. Let's say you go to Chicago. If you go to Chicago, then the Rams play the Seahawks. And I don't know, but I would just guess if the Rams are traveling to Seattle, that's a pick'em game at best for Seattle. You might even see the Rams favored on that line. So I could very easily see the Rams win that game. And if the Eagles can take advantage and beat Chicago, granted, yes, it's on the road, but if they can beat them, which I think that is very possible, then you're literally looking at hosting the NFC Championship game against the Rams. And all of that path there, and as you were talking about too with the Rams, each one of those teams are not a great defense. I mean, the Rams are the best out of those three that we just talked about hypotheticals for the Eagles to play, but we have seen the Eagles have some answers for them, especially in the passing game. Now, it took them way too long to go there in week whatever it was we played in week 2, 3. But if they can kind of find that, I'm just saying maybe there's a little bit of momentum. And it's like what was the analogy they were using a couple weeks ago? I guess they've used it throughout the whole season, but like the free throw analogy, you see it go through the hoop and you're kind of like, oh, hey, there's a little bit more. Now you have some confidence. You can play off of that. It probably works the same way for a play caller. Now, KP needs to be reminded constantly, get off of the recent plays list and get back to maybe now he needs like to ask Sirianni. It's not the ask Madden, but just ask Sirianni like, hey, here's your 3 plays. KP, you just do this, okay? You just pick from one, get it in, let Jalen get up to the line so he has enough time to make some audibles. But I'm just saying, you play the Niners, not a good defense. If they go play Chicago, not a good defense. And then you play the Rams, maybe. Now, I'm not saying the offense is fixed by any means. I'm not saying that we're believing in them. I'm not saying that the offense is what's winning it for us, taking us to the Super Bowl. It'll still be through the defense all playoffs long. But maybe it's enough to at least get a little bit of momentum to where you're like, hey, you know what? They can score 24 points. Because it feels that way. It feels you win, you score 24 points. I think they win every game.
Yeah, we've said it like so many times, right? That this offense can just be average. That we feel like nobody would be able to beat them, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
Yep.
you see them winning 13-12, and like you've sent me examples like offline in our text messages saying like all these different examples where offenses just like completely crap the bed, right? And they still were able to win because of a dominant defense, right? So do you think that the defense is sustainable? They only have to do it for 4 more games, right? If they go on and win it all. So we've seen them have dominant stretches this season for that amount of time, right? Against some of the best offenses, as best offenses in the EPA or whatever, success rate, whatever you want to look at, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
The Ravens.
it's not.
I mean, you just sorry to interrupt you, but you were mentioning I texting you and I have people that are I've texted too much. I'm trying to like build this case in my mind and also get Anthony to agree with me of going, hey, yeah, we have, which I know that you believe we have a shot, but I'm just like trying to get even more of that. But like I think about the Ravens, and I can't recall the exact year, but it was the year where they made the AFC Championship game. They lost there, and then they came back and won it the following year, if I'm not mistaken. But it was the offense for Baltimore was terrible. It was with Ray Lewis, terrible offense. And I think back to 6 or 7 games into the season, the Eagles' offense this year were averaging less than 5 yards per play. And Reuben Frank had shared a couple different numbers like, this is the first time since that Ravens team of a team that's had this terrible yards per play. And then the question is it sustainable? Can the Eagles do this? Can they even make the playoffs, let alone go far or anything like that? That Ravens team did go all the way to the AFC Championship game, if I'm not mistaken. I know they made it at least past the wild card, but I think they made it to the AFC Championship game. But it was terrible offense all season. So the defense did carry them to a certain point, but the Ravens offense that year had nothing, not even anything close to the skill level and talent that the Eagles have on offense. Like you go back and look and you're like, Trent Dilfer, like, what are we doing here, right? Like, there's just nothing. It was all game manager. It was basically, maybe in a similar sense, like, hey, don't turn the ball over. Our defense is going to win this thing. And I know there's a lot of similarities there for what the Eagles do on offense. But again, you go back to say, they didn't have Saquon Barkley. They didn't have A.J. Brown. They didn't have Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, like Jalen Hurts. Come on. It's totally different. We just got to find a little bit better offense.
That's going to be the funny thing, like with this matchup in particular, is like the conservativeness of both head coaches, because we already know how much Nick Sirianni values the football, right? Where he just thinks he showed the graphic. It was shown on Hard Knocks where he showed the team like, this is our record when we win the turnover battle. This is our record when it's even. This is our record when we lose the turnover. It's a huge disparity, right? Like it's very clear if they win the turnover battle, they're 99% chance they're going to win the game, right? So I wrote about it on the PhillySpecialShow.com. Like that's why it's hard to kind of hate Nick Sirianni's approach to the game because it is so successful. But then you also have a guy like Kyle Shanahan who he's going to probably settle a lot of times on fourth down if they're in field goal range, just take the points, right? Which is what we've been frustrated with Nick Sirianni for doing at times because Jake Elliott hasn't been the same automatic kicker that we've seen in recent years, right? He has had some tough misses. So there's a chance that this game on Sunday could very well come down to which kicker can make their kicks, because I think we could see.
I really hope it doesn't.
Both teams, and that could. Pinheiro I think Eddie Pinheiro, right, for the 49ers. He's been really good this year. And you can't say the same thing for Jake Elliott. I know he made his last kick in week 18.
He's really good in the playoffs. He's got a really good record in the playoffs.
He flips that switch that he flipped last postseason, right, where we were so worried about him going into the playoffs, and then he was just automatic, like making everything down the whole Super Bowl run. So hopefully that happens too. But it's going to be fun to see that battle because it almost seems like just one turnover or just one of these coaches getting a little bit more aggressive on fourth down than they normally would be could be the difference, right? It could be you getting a touchdown instead of settling for the field goal. And if it comes down to Nick Sirianni being aggressive on fourth down and Kyle Shanahan just settling for the 3 points, it's going to be really interesting to see that dynamic play out on Sunday.
I'm curious to see too, like, do we go back to the tush push? I know that it's being officiated differently. There's more false starts and penalties there, and everything, but like, it's blatantly obvious that the Eagles are not and cannot convert 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s near as good as they used to, because it was without question every single time you get 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. And you mentioned the aggressive aspect there. I think that's a huge factor. Like, Nick Sirianni is normally conservative, but I don't think, and I'm pretty sure we'd all, or most of us would agree with this too, running the tush push, at least last year and before that, running the tush push from 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 is not even aggressive. Like that's just smart football, right? Because is 90% conversion. Okay, yeah, run it. Okay, is it in our territory? Fine, doesn't matter. Go ahead and run the tush push because we're going to convert, and it's not going to matter. Now is a different story. Like it's 37% conversion rate since the bye week, or maybe since the Lions game, whatever it is. It's terrible. Like, and that's why they've gone away from it. I mean, I don't know when the last time was, because we've had multiple short yarded situations where they don't even call the tush push. It was like a go up and fake snap, call timeout, come back out in the gun, run a play, whether it's inside zone or fake handoff, can't find anybody, incomplete, and then either turnover on downs or they punt the football because then it's like fourth down. That's just not what we're used to, because that was almost like the cheat code, right? And I know there were a lot of, like, it is frustrating. It's irritating when it's a 3rd down situation or a 2nd down situation, and you're like, why did they just run a hitch route? Because that's what they run a lot of. Why did they just run a hitch route that's 1 yard short of sticks? Why didn't you run past the sticks? Well, it didn't matter because you had the tush push. So you were 1 yard short. You just go ahead and convert. Now that doesn't happen. So I hope maybe that you capitalize on it, that they're able to use it more so, because people can argue, be like, oh, it's just a gimmick, and they hate it, the rest of the league. I do think this is the last year that it'll be out there anyway. But if they can't get the automatic conversion on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, that has obviously changed a lot of things. And it does. It's a great point that you bring up there. That probably changes the aggressiveness factor. Are we looking at some more field goals? Jake's only missed 1 in his career in the postseason, but I don't know, the recent run of form, there's a little bit of stress on that.
But like, it's weird, right? Because it seems like the way the offense has been operating all season long, and this is kind of the frustrating part of it all, is it's almost like they still think they're that same team, right? Where They
Oh,
have this
completely. Yeah.
dominant offensive line that can just run the ball, and you're going to eventually get these 60-yard Saquon Barkley runs that you got last year, but they're just not happening. And like you said, you're not able to convert on 4th and 1 because teams are playing the tush push differently now. We're seeing teams before where they were like doing the Chris Jones thing where they turned the guy sideways to the line of scrimmage, or they were
Yeah.
having guys jump over the top. Now they're having like these small athletic guys just fly off the edges because they realized they weren't really defending the edges, and they're trying to rip the football. They're trying to pull these blockers back so it's one less person pushing Jalen Hurts. Like, they're adjusting, and the Eagles necessarily haven't been able to adjust to the switch. They've kind of just given up on it, right? They're like, oh, we're either going to get turnover, we're not going to convert, or it's going to be a penalty. Like, why even waste it?
Mm-hmm.
But then they're still calling the offense as if they're going to go for it in those situations. So it's just been so weird. I don't know if they just think that, Jordan Mailata early in the season kept saying like, we're one block away. We're one block away. Like, well, it's the wild card round of the playoffs now, and we
We're
haven't
still
seen
one
it.
block away.
So you're not one block away anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to change something. So it's just frustrating to see them kind of just like ram their head into the wall over and over again, thinking something's going to change, and it's just not. So, like I said, are they gonna just have this magical formula that they've been waiting to break out in the postseason? Maybe, but I would probably bet on this offense still kind of struggling through the postseason and having to be bailed out by the defense.
Yep. But again, the defense is good enough. So the optimistic, what we're believing in, which is true, the defense is good enough, regardless of who they're playing in the NFC. And I do think that it's, you get into the tournament, you win that first game, and all bets are off. You get a little bit of momentum, you get hot, the guys feel it, they're in that playoff atmosphere. It's like, all right, here we go. So can the Eagles do that? Michael with a 5. Appreciate that. The question everyone is scared to ask: how many wins makes KP's job safe? 2, 3, hopefully none. Don't enjoy hating on the guy, but he stinks.
Yeah, so I think I had multiple people send me this like exact question on Twitter today, right? Like, it was separate threads, but people are curious about it, right? Because he's the biggest question mark around the team going into the playoffs. And it almost feels like, I'm not saying this is everybody, but it's like a small percentage of Eagles fans almost want the offense to fail.
I know. Yep.
And maybe this means the Eagles lose just because it would mean Kevin Patullo's gone, right? But I do think, and I tweeted it, that I think they have to get to at least the NFC Championship game for him to be relatively safe. But I also feel like if they get to the NFC Championship game or even the Super Bowl, if they lose because the offense just has an absolute stinker, I think he could be fired at that point too, right? I don't think that's outside. So it's almost like they have to win and the offense has to look competent, right? They can't lose a game 30-13. Like, that's just not going to happen because this team is too talented. They invested way too much money in this offense to just fall flat on their face. So I know Jeffrey Lurie said a couple weeks ago that he still believes in the team and all the positive things that he said publicly. But like, his actions will be much different if the offense falls flat on their face in the playoffs. And I feel like that's totally fair, right? Because they have invested so much. The offense hasn't been able to turn it around. So if he does have a great playoff run, that'll be enough for him to stick around. But with the names that are becoming available, it's going to be hard for the Eagles not to fire him unless they make a significant playoff run.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing there. They could, heck, they could win the Super Bowl. I mean, as crazy as that is, they could win the Super Bowl and still let go of him. If it's like a, man,
if they win the Super Bowl, somebody's going to hire him as a head coach and be like, oh, this guy, he's actually.
Oh man, they'd be doing us a
actually
huge favor if they hire him. It's just like, okay, we're gonna take Kevin Patullo over Harbaugh and Stefanski and everybody else. Good on you. Good luck. You can have him. We'll pay his salary for the whole first year. Just take him. But it could have, like, if we get that. What year was it? The Rams Patriots Super Bowl, the super low scoring one. Which one I'm talking about.
Yes.
If that happens, like I say, even if the Eagles win, you could see it where it's like, you know what, we're done. Like, we won the Super Bowl. We'll let him celebrate for a week. We'll have the parade, and then thanks, but we're moving on, because it's not sustainable. It would have gone on too long, even with getting wins. So yeah, I don't even know that, like you answered as well, but I'm on the same boat, Michael. I don't think that there's even a specific number necessarily. I think it's a combo of like, okay, if he makes the title game or if he makes the Super Bowl, he's in a better spot. But it comes down to, what did the team look like? What did the offense look like? If they're as anemic as we've seen them, yet they're winning these games 13-12, and we're like, oh my gosh, another nail biter. They can't keep doing this. Then it won't matter. They could be Super Bowl champs at the end of the day. Demons, what's up with the 5-bomb? Fellas, what's popping? I believe in Jalen. See, there we go. He's going to shock the world. He did say unprecedented, right? The journey he's been on, unprecedented is unprecedented. He's got the confidence. I do think you made a great point earlier about saying that with Jalen Hurts, and we're all believing in him. There's a reason why, even if you don't believe in KP, when the stakes are the highest, he shows up. He's proven that, and it's different from 2023. Earlier this year was like it's 2023, it's 2023, it's not 2023. They've had some struggles for sure. There's been some issues, but the team is a whole lot more bought in. The team is not tearing apart at the seams, just because everybody's all in their own selfish ways, or they're playing for individual stats, or they're done with coaches. They don't believe anything. The team is still in it. They are having, some very frustrating struggles. But I think you've heard it and seen it from Jalen. The relationship with A.J. Brown, whether some people want to say that's a big deal, some people say it's not a big deal, they've at least figured something out because they seem to appreciate each other more. Jalen posted a playoff post, or maybe his agency did for him, but even that, he didn't used to have AJ in those posts, but he does now. So I don't know what that means. I'm just saying there's more positive vibes, and the guys kind of bought in for this run. So we'll still lean towards, look, they've done it before. They may not have the right guy at the helm calling the plays, but maybe it's Sirianni, as Jorge here with the member for 19 months, the Hungry Dogs tier said. So the guy who gave up play calling to save the season takes over play calling to save the season. Makes sense.
Freaky Friday. So we're switching out roles. Everything's
we're believing in Nick Sirianni.
Everything's getting a little crazy. I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, right? And you can't deny, outside of the week 18, which could just be like, hey, Nick Sirianni and the staff were actually just looking at, they were also kind of on a bye week, right? Technically, they had to coach, they had to call plays, but they were also really looking ahead as well. So maybe part of that factored into it. Still doesn't excuse the Tank Bigsby usage and things like that. But I do think the offense has looked different and improved since Nick Sirianni has supposedly become more involved, right? So is it enough? Obviously not yet, but once again, Jalen Hurts, if he's there and he's healthy, and if you look recently, in each of the last 3 years, I believe, he was dealing with some type of injury, publicly dealing with an injury heading into the postseason, right? He had the knee, I think, last season, then he had a finger or something the other year, then he had a shoulder one year. Then after I think they lost to the Buccaneers, he came out with a boot on in the press conference. He's always been dealing with something in the postseason. So now he's fresh, right? They didn't run him a ton in the regular season. So that's kind of the one little glimmer of hope that you have, right? Is Jalen Hurts is still Jalen Hurts, and he always shines brightest when the lights are the brightest. And the potential return of Lane Johnson. Could those two things be enough for this offense to kind of flip a switch on top of the defense just being lights out to make a run in the playoffs here?
And that's a great segue, I guess, into a topic. By the way, I'm going to do the giveaway here in just a bit as we're getting closer to wrapping up. But and before I get to a couple other super chats as well. So Lane Johnson, we'll just briefly say this. There's nothing officially confirmed, but Jeff McClain had said earlier today, Lane Johnson's going to test out his foot injury, the Lisfranc injury that he was sidelined for 7 weeks ago, I think, something like that, 6 or 7 weeks ago. They didn't put him on the IR. That's kind of strange because you could have had him, that's the IR. You got to miss at least 4 weeks, 4 games. We're way past that. So they easily could have, should have. It's kind of weird because Lisfranc injuries are usually that timeline at least anyway. But McClain reported that he's going to test it out tomorrow. Wednesday's practice, depending on when people are listening to this. So Wednesday's practice will be when Lane goes out there, test it out, see how he's going to do. Will he play? Fingers crossed, prayers for Lane that he does end up doing this. We've heard for the last 3 weeks. It's Ian Rappaport. Bless his heart, every single week he comes out and he's like, Lane Johnson expected to play against the Raiders. Well, he didn't do that. Lane Johnson expected to play against the Bills. Well, he's not doing that. Lane Johnson should be good to go. I think
Adam Schefter 1 week too. Also,
I think you're right.
The Raiders game or something like that. He also said he's expected to return or whatever. So the biggest and most reliable reporters have all gotten it wrong, and even the Eagles, like you said, not putting him on IR, seemed like they thought he was going to be back relatively soon too. So
exactly.
You talked about how you heard from a relative or whatever that like the injury was going to be more significant than they were maybe letting on. And now we're seeing it 7-8 weeks later. Guy hasn't played at all, hasn't really practiced at all. He was on the field before, I believe, the Week 18 game, walking around barefoot with Jordan Mailata. So hopefully that's like a sign that he was spotted, I believe, at the last practice before. He didn't participate, but he was spotted there, like working to the side. So, I mean, we have known if there's anything about Lane Johnson, if there's a chance for him to play, even if he has to play through injury, he
Oh, yeah.
literally put off surgery to play, like he's going to play. So my money would go on him playing, but there's been some, like you said, some like back and forth reporting that it makes it kind of a hard situation to read from the outside.
Yes, and that other back and forth reporting, as I was sharing, that was Brian Baldinger, which of course Brian is very constantly over at Lane's. What's it
The barn, the training barn, whatever
Yeah,
it's called.
what's the name? Is it? It's not the. I forget the first name of it. It's something barn, right? It's like the. I can't think of the name now. I'm drawing a blank. I know
Muscle
somebody.
barn? No, I don't know. Maybe I'm
I
making
don't
that
know.
up.
Somebody in the chat will tell us. I can't remember now. But anyway, Lane's barn workout gym area. But he's over there all the time. Good relationship with Lane. Baldy's broken some stuff in the past of how Lane feels about certain players and everything. He was the one that was saying Mekhi Becton was going to be the right guard. I think one of the first ones before anybody else. And we're like, oh, that's interesting. It'd be kind of cool. But so anyway, he knows his stuff. Now he's not totally accurate. I don't think there's a single reporter out there that reports stuff and is like, oh, yeah, it's guaranteed. But he did say on the PHLY show, I believe, that he's not sure that Lane will go. And it was, and I'll share more of it in the video tomorrow, official with the clips and everything like that. But I'm paraphrasing here. Essentially, it was like, oh, the Eagles will be healthy, and then he kind of comes back to go, well, but Lane may not go. So it's iffy there. Is that some like gamesmanship? He was not supposed to say that because he wants people to think that Lane may not go, or is it the reverse of it where he says it and then he goes, oh, actually, no, I forgot Lane is in jeopardy of playing. Who knows? But the reports kind of piecing those together. He says that Jeff McClain says that Lane needs to test it out for the practice on Wednesday. And we'll see. I'm right there with you, though, too. And we know that Lane will play through just about anything. So I don't know. Do the Eagles see that? Is it close enough? Do the Eagles save him from himself? And they're like, hey, look, I know that we need you, but we're going to try to get this thing done without, because we've got bigger plans, obviously, than just the wild card round. And we want to give you one more week of rest so that you're good to go for, Chicago or for the Rams. Because again, the Niners worst in the league in sacks. Not very many pressures either, because those two really correlate. But if there's any way that he can go out there and play, I think that we're vast majority in the same boat. Like, get Lane Johnson out of the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's the playoff time, right? Like, if he's able to play, sorry, Lane, your career's coming to a close soon anyway. If you could play, you're playing. Like, we can't afford to mess around and kind of play with our food there, especially the way the offense has looked in recent weeks or basically all season long. But one other reason for optimism, and then I shared this with you before we got on here, was the fact that the Eagles did play Fred Johnson at all. Because if they think that Lane Johnson's not going to play, I don't think they would risk putting his replacement out there in essentially a meaningless game, right, where they rested their starters. And then not only that, but Fred Johnson played and started at left tackle, right? So if you think he's been playing right tackle this whole time in place of Lane Johnson, right? If you think that there's at least a chance that Lane Johnson's not going to play, I don't think it would make sense to have Fred Johnson practice and play a game at left tackle, right? Because Jordan Mailata's talked about how hard it is to go from one side to the other, right? He talked about it early in his career. He's talked about it recently, like how your footwork is completely different. Everything is complete. It's like trying to write with your left hand if you're a righty, right? That's what he compared it to. So I don't think it would make any sense at all for the Eagles to put Fred Johnson at left tackle if there was any glimmer or chance that Lane Johnson wouldn't be able to play in the wild card round of the playoffs. So that's why I think like Brian Baldinger was just kind of, it almost like he caught himself, like you mentioned, and you'll share the clip in tomorrow's video, but he was like, well, the Eagles, they rested their starters. They're going to have everybody back. And he was like, well, Lane might not go. I don't think Lane's going to go. So maybe it's just kind of trying to do that Nick Sirianni, keeping things a little bit mysterious, especially with the fact that the 49ers are almost doing the same thing with like Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall. Are they going to play? You're hearing Ricky Pearsall like re-injured himself in practice. So we didn't hear about that until after the game. Like, so could that just be them trying to play it off like, oh, he's probably not going to play, but then he actually does play? So maybe the Eagles are just trying to match that little mystery on the injury report, little gamesmanship. Yeah, like you spoke about heading into the playoffs. So I would think Lane Johnson would play, because to me, to hold him out this entire time and then for him to still not play in the playoffs, that would just make their medical staff look clueless, right? Like this, you should have put him on IR weeks ago then, because you've cut players since then to make roster moves and things like that. But as you also mentioned, another thing that we spoke about before we got on, and I know you want to wrap up, but Cameron Williams was activated, right? That not a lot of us expected, but could that have been a reaction to them saying, oh, maybe Lane Johnson won't be back. We need another offensive tackle. God forbid Fred Johnson goes down, and we don't really want to put Matt Pryor out there, right? So that is just one more thing to kind of factor in. So it's a very intriguing situation because it's dragged on for so long with no answers. And now it's the week of, and we still really don't have any clarity either way.
And we need Lane. Let's just, we're in agreement on that one. So I will keep everybody posted. Obviously, the video that'll drop tomorrow. I'm delaying it essentially because we're not necessarily on pins and needles, but we're a little bit more heightened. Like, okay, what's the report going to be? Is he out there? Is he getting in some work? I think even if it's limited action tomorrow, I think that'll be a positivity. Like, even if it shows Lane Johnson, practice report, limited participant, foot injury, that is a win in itself.
That's
because I don't
huge,
think it'll be like immediately go out there and it's like, oh, full participant. Like, if he's testing it out, it'll be just enough to say, hey, let's see how you feel. Okay, cool. Don't overdo it. We're good. We're saving you for Sunday. And then you might see something maybe by Friday's practice, but just ease him into it. Make sure that he's good to go. So we'll keep you guys posted. Aisha with the 5. Hey, Josh and Ant-Man. I think both Bears and the Seagulls could easily lose in the first round. Well, I think maybe you're meaning the Seagulls in their first opponent, but I see what you're saying. Eagles just need to handle business in the playoffs. Go Birds. Go Birds. Yes, because again, the Bears could lose in the first round, but if they do, well, actually, by that theory, Aisha, what you're saying is that you think the Packers are going to make the NFC Championship game. I mean, this year is wild, is crazy. I guess it could happen, but if the Bears lose, that means the Packers won. And then if the Seagulls lost in the first round, or their first round would be the divisional round, and that means the Packers would be the ones who go to Seattle. Don't think there's a lot of people that have that on their bingo card. But if it's going to happen, again, as we say, for this NFL season, it would probably
that would be
this
hilarious. Though, like if this whole time people were mad at the Eagles because they essentially avoided playing the Packers in the first round.
Yeah.
Only for the Eagles to host the Packers in the championship game.
that would be
hilarious.
Fantastic. Yes. Eagles get to play. Could you imagine? It's like, oh, the Eagles beat the Niners, then they play the Rams. And again, you're just thinking like, oh, it's a foregone conclusion. You're going to Seattle and it's like, whoop. Jordan Love and the Packers, they just got it done, and for everybody else is like, they lost Micah Parsons. There's no way they were going to do anything, especially after that point. Josh Jacobs being banged up, held out of games, benched for different reasons. The whole team just kind of weird vibes and everything. And then all of a sudden it's like, you got a 7 seed that is making it to the title game. All right. But this would be the year because, it's been the craziest so far, just the wildest outcomes. Carter with the 2. If they win the Super Bowl, won't KP be back next year with a question mark? Again, we're getting delayed to these super chats. We're just hitting on these, but we did talk about it for the reasons why. Like, I don't think it's foregone conclusion. If it depends on how it looks, like we said, if they're scoring very few points and the defense is carrying them, I think you could win the Super Bowl and still, depending on which candidates are still out there, but I think you could win the Super Bowl and still be like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on, KP.
I don't think they would fire him, but I could see them hiring like a very prominent offensive consultant or like some type of role like that, where like going into next season, you could be like, all right, you start slow again by week 4. You're done. Frank Reich is taking your spot or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, I hear you, but like, and again, this is like playing complete hypothetical here to the extreme, but like, I'm talking about if defense won you basically it was like, and yes, winning the Super Bowl, it's almost a surefire
every game is
get out of jail free card. But yeah,
just...
like if every game we're talking about is like 10-7, 13-3, 13-12. Oh, you're Super Bowl champions. Like I think that even winning that, like Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman have to look at that and go, no, we are not going to put up with this. I'm sorry. We won the Super Bowl. You're gone. Like, there's just no way that could happen. But yes, it would take an extreme amount to get him fired.
But what, at that point, just one last thing. If that did happen, the Eagles won the Super Bowl and Kevin Patullo was fired, what would Philadelphia have a bigger parade for? Would it be winning the Super Bowl or Kevin Patullo being fired?
That's actually a really good question there, because people would be super excited about the Super Bowl, obviously. But then you'd go, three-peat. It's here because we got rid of KP. It's so bad. I don't know. It's a good question. It feels like they'd be very close rivaled with that parade. Green Wingman with a 5. Things have changed. Things have changed, but the Eagles do have a chance to redeem themselves against the team that triggered the 23 collapse. Take that for what you will. That is true. We mentioned the Big Dom revenge game, and I think some people, and this is fair, right? Like, you might think, oh, that's extra petty. The Eagles aren't buying into that. They don't really care or anything like that. Getting to meet Big Dom and the things that he still says to this day about that altercation, I wouldn't put it past the Eagles, right? I mean, we all kind of all know Nick Sirianni and some of the.
I was gonna say, do we not know who this head coach is? Like, he's going to use that.
You would think that he would, but there's a lot of people. I'm surprised because I made this comment on one of the videos or one of the posts on the community page, and there's a lot of people that are kind of like, no, they don't care. Like, that was a couple years ago. I'm like, not so sure that was a getting clowned in your own house, and on top of that, Big Dom, who everybody loves, getting kicked out for that reason. So I wouldn't say.
I would be shocked if Nick Sirianni didn't show specifically the clip of like the 49ers players walking through the Eagles warm-ups, like not even the Big Dom stuff necessarily, just like they were punked during that game, and
they ended up
they spiraled out of control after that specific moment. So if people don't think that Nick Sirianni can be playing up that factor, because as you said, there are still a lot of players that were on the Eagles when that game took place. Like, sure, they've had added rookies or whoever else that came along that didn't necessarily experience that, but that's going to be used as motivation this week.
Yeah, I would agree. FZ with 5. Elliott actually missed an extra point against the Rams that got us in trouble, LOL. So I don't think he turns in on Josh, LOL. Go Birds. Turns in on Josh. I'm not exactly sure what that means, actually. It's been a little while since we talked about the Jake Elliott. I said that he's only missed, I think, one in the postseason, but if we're picking between the kickers, we feel a little more confidence in San Francisco, unfortunately, but hopefully it doesn't come down to field goals, and then you're good. You're okay. John with a 2, appreciate that, says we win the Super Bowl and KP gets a head coach gig. See, we could also root for that. I guess you don't have to fire him. You're like, hey, looky here, KP.
Maybe the Cardinals will hire another former Eagles coordinator that nobody really liked.
While we're throwing out ridiculous hypotheticals, though, could you imagine, like, even if it's like stumbling to the Super Bowl for the offense, the defense carries you, but did you make it to the Super Bowl? And, like, I don't know, I'll just throw out a random team. Like, let's say that it's the Bills that make it, right? So, like, I know that it was a very defensive battle. The offense looked good in the first half, terrible in the second half, but it was a pouring monsoon, all the other stuff. But just, could you imagine how ridiculous it would be? Is like the Eagles struggled all the way. They make it to the Super Bowl, and then something ridiculous happened. And it's like, what on earth? The Eagles scored 38 points. The offense is just like firing on all cylinders. And then it does. Then it's like, oh, hey, like he's a head coach candidate now. KP's turned things around here for the offense. It would save his job one way or the other. He would either land a head coaching job, or he would probably stay in Philly. And then people would go like, that was fool's gold. That's not going to hold up. I promise you. I've seen this movie before. That's not going to work. But we would have another Super Bowl. So then I don't know. Maybe we're okay. FC with the 5 more. Question for Anthony: do you think Bryce Huff will go off against us?
Hopefully not, because he hasn't been that great all season long. Granted, he's battled some injuries and whatnot, but the Eagles talked about how well he played against them, I believe. And what was it, 2023, I think, that stuck out to them. And
yeah, Jets game.
And we have seen Jordan Mailata specifically struggle at times against like these smaller, quicker kind of edge rushers. And I think Bryce Huff definitely kind of fits into that category. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a couple pressures or anything like that, but I don't think he'd necessarily be like taking over the game. And he'll have some extra juice, obviously, because of the way things played out in Philadelphia. And he was eventually traded or whatever, which I think they did kind of take care of him with the trade, trading him to Robert Saleh and then in a scheme that he was familiar with. But I don't think it's going to be where he's going to have like 2 or 3 sacks or something like that and really dominate the game.
Yeah, I agree there. We got him a Super Bowl. We did take care of him. We got him a Super Bowl. We got him paid. So, it's.
If anything, maybe the Eagles run at him to kind of target him because they know what he's weak at.
That's
So
true. I don't mind that.
But
Yeah, if he's
that would
lined up on
mean that Kevin Batula and Nick Sirianni were actually attacking a weakness on a defense, and we haven't really seen them do that.
Is that going to happen? I don't. Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's the best thing would be Tank Bigsby gets handoff towards Bryce Huff, and we get like 40 carries in the game, 40 rushes, 312 yards, 4 touchdowns combined for the running game.
No, sounds good.
Let's
just start with Tank Bigsby getting one run.
That's too much to ask for.
Go from there.
Oh, it would be greatness, though. Yes. We'll see. All right, I do need to spin for the giveaway here. So people on the live stream, you're going to have access to get tickets to the playoff game. And I do see some of the other comment. I think Mark was asking, Josh, have we seen the offense play 4 quarters against a good team? No, we haven't really. But have we seen another opposing offense play 4 good quarters against our defense? Like it is what it is.
Uno reverse card.
I mean, yeah, it's. I know we all hate it. We hate it because you say, like, why can't that happen? But it's the same thing. There's been a lot of games. Shout out to Dennis Selman. I was going to share this on the video tomorrow, but I'll just go ahead and say this. The Eagles have only lost, I think, 1 game when either side of the ball has played above average. So essentially, EPA per play, efficiency per play, basically, if the defense plays above average and the offense is below average, which happened a lot, the Eagles only lost 1 game. Or you flip it, if the offense, they had 2 of these. I know it's crazy hard to believe, but they had 2 games where the offense played above average, EPA per play, and the defense actually played below average. The Eagles won those games. It's only the games where, or actually it may be undefeated it is 1 game. So, but there's 5 losses that happened, and those 5 of the 6 losses happened when both the offense and the defense played below average. So I don't know that it's sustainable for the whole playoffs, but even in the sample size of the regular season, if just one side of the ball plays above average, the Eagles have won whatever the math is there. I mean, that's like, 85% of the time? They've only lost 1 of those games. So I don't know. I'm hoping.
So you're
we
telling
could be
me
like the 2002 Texans.
Yeah.
There's a chance. There's a chance. I sent you that. People could go look it up if they want to. Week 14, 2002, Houston Texans gained 1 first down, beat the Steelers 24-6, outgained in total yards 47 to 422. I'm not making that up. You can go look it up.
I feel like you have that box score just like on a picture behind
it's just
your
like a plaque right
posted
here.
Behind your setup.
It can be done.
That's
actually,
your little.
It's Sirianni's little desk thing. It's a picture of that. It just says Epic S, right? Do Epic S. Like
This is that. Let's go win a playoff game by getting outgained by 380 yards.
Can't we win a 3rd game this season without completing a pass in the second half? Let's try it. Come on. Oh, you got to laugh about it, at least at this point. If and when we get eliminated, it'll be a different story. But got belief. Come on, baby. They could do it. Okay, we're going to do this giveaway. I'm seeing a ton of Go Birds. I don't think that I said that was the name or the thing that you had to post, but I appreciate that. I need to make it something different, though, because people have already posted. Let me think what I'm going to do here. Okay, I think I've got something here. All right, so we'll do, if it's going to, let's see, reset the tool. Okay, so I'm going to start capturing now. All right, so if you want to win tickets, I need you to comment. I'm about to tell you what to comment, but I need you to be able to go to the game, right? So, like, you could win these, and then you could ultimately sell them, and you could make a profit, which I still can't necessarily guarantee that you're not doing that. But, honor code, honor system here. Please only enter the comment if you can go to the game. I'm trying to make this for an experience for somebody to actually be there in person. It's a playoff game, playoff atmosphere, watching the Eagles. There's nothing like it, especially if you've never been. Like, bucket list item, I'm telling you, this is absolutely what you want to go to. It's not worth selling it, no matter what you can get for it. So, but please, only comment what I'm about to tell you to get in on the giveaway if you can go to the game. So I'm about to tell you that. 1 comment, don't do multiple times. It'll kick you out, but here's what you need to do. In the comment section, all you got to say is wild card. 2 words. Wild card, 2 words. Comment it 1 time, not multiple. It'll kick you out. As soon as you do that, you will be entered to win. And that's all you got to do. Wild card gets you entered.
You should have had them say like "I love KP" or something like that to really see get the positive vibes going before the playoffs.
I probably should have actually. That would have been a good idea. All right, good. We're getting the wild card comments there, making sure that I get this thing set up here. And it'll be 2 tickets. So see who's going to win this thing. I give it maybe a couple minutes, and then good to go.
In the meantime,
sure it's capturing.
Thoughts on your all these firings and stuff going on around the NFL right now?
It's crazy. I didn't. I heard
John
the
Harbaugh?
rumors. I know. I heard the rumors about Harbaugh before. Well, even before the I was going to say playoff game. It felt like a playoff game before the game to decide who goes to the playoff game. But it's still wild to think that John Harbaugh is fired. And then it's like, or mutually parted, whatever. But like, I don't. It's hard to say because like I don't know what from like the Ravens. Yeah, maybe it was time for them to make a change, and he was not wanting to apparently fire Todd Monken was
it sounds like the Doug Peterson situation.
Yeah. So I get that, but I don't know. It's kind of like the Kevin Stefanski, right? Like you needed to make a change, and I know the Browns are a little different than the Ravens, but still, like they needed to make a change. But it's always strange when you have a head coaching candidate like that, or a former head coach that as soon as they get fired, I mean, we're not even talking about like 10 minutes, and they immediately are the top of the list for every single vacancy, and it's like, oh, he's got 7 interviews lined up now, right? Like every other candidate who was thinking, hey,
supposedly playoff teams are
even playoff teams.
Like
they're like, hey, if we don't make it very far, we'll give you a call here after this one. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm positive he's going to land somewhere, just with all the offers or all the interviews that he's getting. Sounds like the Giants are making him as one of the favorites. We'll see if he ends up there, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Harbaugh becomes the Giants head coach, which would be interesting.
I personally don't get the appeal with him. Maybe I'm crazy, but I tweeted about it. Some people got upset about it. I don't care. But he's won 4 playoff games in the last 13 years, like that 13 seasons. Like that to me in Philadelphia, that would not fly, right? Like that's 4 wins, 4 playoff wins. I know, granted, his first 5 years, he won like at least 1 playoff game every year. Obviously won the Super Bowl, I think, in 2012. So like that's, you can't erase, right? He almost had like a Nick Sirianni-esque start to his coaching career. But like since then, and I feel like a lot of these Ravens teams were picked to go to the conference championship game or to be serious like Super Bowl contenders.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And like 4 wins and that's it. And it's like in 13 seasons, like that's a really long time.
It's not
like
good.
I was in college the last time he made like a deep playoff run. It felt like it's just,
and they've had the squads, I mean, multiple times. Think about,
but I also think the bar, like for a team like the Giants, is set so low where they're like, he wins double-digit games every regular season. Like we just want that. Like so maybe looking at it from like an Eagles lens, it seems like such a failure. But for a lot of franchises around the NFL, they would love to be in the playoffs every year and win 10+ games. So
yeah,
I
think so. I feel like it'll be at least as of right now. If I were deciding on favorites for the Giants, because it does impact us in our division. There's also lots of turnover with Washington, but we'll talk about that a different time. I think for the Giants, it's probably going to either be John Harbaugh or Kevin Stefanski. Just the current candidates. I feel like it'll be one of them that gets the gig. I don't know. We'll see. The Giants are so intriguing, though, because like you do see a decent amount of talent. Like just individual talent. You see a decent amount of talent there. But they can't play together. They make terrible mistakes at terrible times. The coaching, right, the situational elements there were also terrible a lot. Run defense, just the defense as a whole atrocious. But it's like you have the defensive line to at least get after the quarterback, and it's like, and there's a lot of athleticism there. It feels like you could somehow scheme up a way to stop the run better than they do. So I don't know. There's a million different answers, but it's we're spoiled. We're very fortunate. We're lucky, I guess, because we're complaining about making the playoffs, being a 3 seed, still having a legit chance to go to the Super Bowl. Yes, a bad offensive coordinator, but you talk about 4 playoff wins in 13 years. We've got however many it is for or Sirianni just in what is it? Just in home playoff games, right? Like 5-0 under Sirianni. So and that's in 5 years' time. But I don't know. It's a different world. It's perspective.
Yeah, we're in the golden era of the Eagles right now, and I said it multiple times, and we don't realize how good we have it because one of my close friends and coworkers, my buddy Stu, he's a diehard Jets fan, and he's got it rough. And I mean, the 17 games, no interceptions. I sent him the screenshot of like
that's impossible.
Their leading passer, rusher, and it's like Justin Fields with like 1,000 yards, Breece Hall with 1,000 yards, Garrett Wilson with like 300 yards. It's just like that's. You could be rooting for that team. Like
yeah.
We've got it pretty good in Philadelphia.
Not too bad. John with a 2. I would never type that. They go back for the other potential word that they could use. Yeah. So we say, which I can appreciate. Okay, I got all the comments, or I think the vast majority here. So for the giveaway, I'm about to spin it. You do have to be present. So I'm going to spin this. Hopefully you're still here. If you left, then you're not going to win it. You won't be able to claim it, obviously. So if it spins and it's not you, don't leave immediately because we're going to make sure that person is here. Otherwise, I'm going to spin it again real quick and somebody else will win. So you got to be present on the stream right now to win these playoff tickets so that I can guarantee it's going to you. We're doing basically playoff ticket giveaways every chance that I get this week because we don't know. There's only the only thing guaranteed is one playoff game right now. You got to win the other one to make the next one. So we'll do as many as we possibly can. All right, let me make sure I could share the screen and good luck all. Let's see who it's going to be. The win will go to Micah Timpson, I believe. Micah Timpson, 1769 with the wild card comment. Congratulations, Micah. Come on down. You got to be still present here on the stream. See if Mike is here. If Mike is not, we'll spin it again. So don't leave. Don't leave yet. Make sure Micah is here. Micah, you just need to comment back something to me. Say, I'm here. What's up? It's me. I got the tickets. I'm going to be there. Whatever. Just need you to comment. I need you to be able to go to the game, though, too, right? Like, honor system here. Trenton said he told me I could accept for him.
Big Dom will find you if you win these tickets and you do something else with him.
That's true. There he is. He's here. He did win. Okay, Micah, sweet. Congratulations. You've won the tickets. 2 tickets to the wild card round. Needs you to be decked out, man. You got a full force, okay? And I don't know if you've ever been to an Eagles game before. If this is your first time, a lot of pressure. If they win, you can go back. If they don't, never again. You got to make me that promise. Just never again. And I'm sorry, but that's how we do things here.
That's how it works. That's the fact.
You can't mess up the vibes, right? So, but yes, there's some joking there because I'm sure some people are going to be like, "What the heck?"
No, there's not. I'm serious.
There's not. Okay, all right. There's none. Micah. There's other people asking, can I come with you? There'll be 2 tickets that I'll send to you, so you can choose someone else, or there's plenty of people here that'll go. You could easily find. But I just need you to email me at thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com or DM me on one of the socials. So it is his first time. Okay. All right. Official first time. Whew, a lot of pressure, man. We get a lot of pressure here. All right. Bring home that dub. Micah, you got this thing. It's going to be a fantastic experience. To start out, it will. Then hopefully it ends that way. But it's one of the best experiences that you can get, especially if they get the dub. But okay, yes, again, just email me, DM on one of the socials. There's links down in the description. You can also go if you follow me on one of the socials already. But DM me or email me. Got to make sure get your contact info, screenshot, whatever. And then I will transfer the tickets to you. So congratulations, Micah. Everybody else, this is not the last one, like I mentioned. There's going to be at least probably 2 more giveaways on top of the one that I did for the last game recap. So if you've not gotten in on that, go leave a comment there. I'll announce it on the video tomorrow. And like I say, there'll probably be ticket giveaways every single video. And I'm loving the comments. There's a lot of pressure being thrown on Mike right now. So.
That's what I was just laughing at. Somebody said, if we lose, it's on you, Mike.
No, it's not. Hey, sorry. It's how it works, I guess. So, okay. Well, I think that was the vast majority of everything. I'll get you guys covered on the latest updates and everything as well for tomorrow. Keep you updated as well for Lane Johnson. Thoughts and prayers for his foot. hopefully he's good to go. He tested out. We get the at least limited participant at worst case scenario. But keep an eye out for that. Anthony's got you covered as well. Injury report, statuses, tracking the other teams, mailbag, the Philly Special Show.com, or follow Anthony at DiBona NFL. And oh, sorry, I just saw a lot of tomatoes there, so they're also getting that. But there you go. And then Micah, yeah, I'll be on the lookout for your message, email or DM. So, and the game previews, I should say that we'll obviously have that. But game preview Saturday, me and Anthony breaking it down, official predictions, everything there. So, you guys are the best. We're getting close. Feel the anxiety, the adrenaline pumping. I got it. So, as always, we'll see you. Go Birds.
Go Birds.